Fit for Life Radio, episode number 53. Your hosts, Will. Say hi, Will.
Hi.
And Gary. We are here with another guest because you guys seem to like listening to other people better.
Yeah.
So we'll keep them coming.
Is he a guest, though?
I mean, he's a guest to the podcast.
Yeah, I guess.
But he's not really a guest. He's like an extended family that lives in our podcast house.
Yep.
And that's Diego Diaz. Say your whole name like it's a boxing match.
Should I say it with accent or
Yeah.
or Mexican or like the real thing?
The real thing.
Like as authentic as it can get.
Diego Diaz Infante Dale.
What was the last one?
Dale.
Oh,
Daily.
dang. I've been saying daily. In my head, I say daily.
I mean,
it's spelled,
it's
man.
basically daily because that's actually from my grandma, so that's American.
It's American, but just
that's a Mexican pronunciation.
put through that Mexican filter.
And for the millennials, you might know them as ice cream, ice underscore cream underscore fiesta
Ice cream fiesta.
on Instagram. And that will be the subject of today's podcast.
Yep.
Is going to be all things ice cream,
Ice cream.
how to eat ice cream and have abs. And for those of you that don't like ice cream, you could plug in like whatever your favorite treat is there.
Yeah. Just don't make it like a keto treat.
Yeah, no keto treat.
Hey, I almost bought a keto cookie on the way here
Mm.
just so we could eat it.
I would punch in the face.
I saw
That would be
on
your
Instagram there's like a bakery in Hilton and they got these big monster cookies.
I've seen that bakery. I've been curious to going over there.
I feel better I'm planning to ride my bike there.
Like
It's
like
fun.
it helps.
Like I do like all the stuff we tell people not to do, but you still whatever. I'm gonna ride my bike there so I feel better about eating this cookie.
Eating this 1,000-calorie cookie.
You go and do a lap of the Nolan while
Yeah.
we're there.
Just 5 mile
Is
hike.
it a big cookie? Is it like the monster type cookie, or is it like a
No,
gigantic
it's the monster
cookie?
type cookie.
Okay. All right.
Oh, I
But then
thought it
it's
was
also
A big cookie?
a big
so it's
cookie.
like a monster cookie.
Yeah, a monster
Squared.
cookie. So, yeah. So, we want to dig in on, we like to call it your discretional calories, right? We're not always eating, chicken and rice. So, you want to have room for other things that's what makes your diet sustainable and also helps with binging, right? Whenever people go on a diet and something like the Whole30 and basically you have a huge list of everything you can't have, what happens? You immediately want it.
All those things you can't have?
Whatever it is. And half the time you only want it because you can't have it. So by allowing yourself to really have anything you want, you'll be surprised at how really, for me, you realize that the things that you just truly don't really want and then the things that you do really want. So a lot of times I know when I've been really strict in the past, you're like, oh, I'm going to grab everything. So you'll go to the grocery store and you'll get crackers and chips and ice cream and half the stuff you don't even really want. And then when you're telling yourself, well, I can have whatever I want, then you realize, you know what, I really only love ice cream or Kit Kat bars or whatever it is. And then that makes things a lot easier. I know you've probably been through all those different phases, Diego. So kind of talk about, and obviously the viewers don't know, but we know, for the most part, that is your favorite treat. You're not having a ton of other stuff. So how'd you land on ice cream?
So, basically, like, it would be pretty much on the weekends, I would like to have my pint of ice cream. So during the week, I would eat just my normal stuff. I'm super routine on everything, so I usually eat the same stuff. But then on the weekends, I would want a pint of ice cream, and I would go. And I used to do a lot of like the lower calorie ice creams, like the Halo Tops and stuff like that. But then, I know, man, I can't go back. But then, like I would always choose the same things because I didn't know if I was gonna like it, if I would want to spend calories or money on it. And then basically go home, eat a couple spoonfuls, and be like, oh, this was a disappointment. I don't want any of this ice cream. So I started looking on Instagram, and there was this one guy I followed, and he did reviews, but he did a lot of reviews of, what do you call it, like, I forgot the word right now, but like fancier ice cream.
Gourmet.
Yeah, like gourmet style.
Gourmet.
So if I went to the store, I couldn't find any of that stuff. So I wanted to like find someone that would tell me, hey, this ice cream is good, um, because of this reason and that reason. I just couldn't find it, so I decided to do it on my own. Later on, I saw some people did it, so it was a good thing because if I had seen it before I started, I wouldn't have even started my Instagram. But it was like, well, nobody's doing it. Let me review it, and let people know there might be someone like me out there.
Mhm.
The ones who know if an ice cream's good and if it's worth having it. So that's basically how it started. I started like I'm just gonna venture out a little bit, try different ice creams, um, and my goal wasn't even to do it as often or as consistent. My goal initially was like, well, I'll just do my weekend ice cream. Like once a week, I'll go grab my ice cream, try it, review it, and post it for everyone. But of course, most things I do, I just have to go all in. So once I started doing it, I just kind of did a part-time job, consuming ice cream and posting it
Which is funny because
online,
now you have a part-time job
making ice
Making
at,
cream.
ice
at an
cream.
ice cream
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, so that's basically how it started. I wanted to see all the different options out there and then see which ones were good and which one were worth it, and they just went from there.
And then also in the midst of now I'm basically having ice cream every day. You also like in the summer had a photo shoot and got to, like to your leanest and photo shoot lean, eating ice cream every day. So you want to kind of talk about that and some tips.
Yeah, so I had a photo shoot proposal. I think it was late in the year. Not this past year, the year before. So basically, I got a photo shoot proposal, and I was kind of hesitant. I was like, okay, I want to try it. And I was kind of getting a little more into this into this ice cream reviewing thing. So I was really wanting to push that. But at the same time, I was like, well, I want to get lean, so I know I'm not gonna be able to eat in all this ice cream. So there's gonna be need to be some trade offs. Um, so I kind of challenged myself to like, hey, let's see how much ice cream I can actually eat, while still getting lean. And if at some point I have to cut it out, then I'll just cut it out. Um, so most ice cream, I like the full fat. Like, give me the full thing. Most ice cream is gonna be high in calories, usually high in fats, some carbs. So I knew that in order to make that work for me,
What I'm gonna interrupt real quick.
yeah,
Isn't it funny how people refer to ice cream as carbs because it has sugar in it? So when
nah,
people say, "Oh, I cut out carbs. Carbs are bad. I do good without carbs," and then you ask them, "Well, when you say carbs, like what kind of foods did you cut out?" They're like ice cream,
pizza.
pizza. And it's like, well, you do
Mm-hmm.
realize those foods are actually more. And again, not that we're trying to demonize fats, but
No.
like they're more fat calories than they are
Then
carb
yeah,
calories. Essentially, they're just huge calorie bombs.
I mean, basically, like the thing really I have to watch the most to include ice cream in my diet is fats, because that's the thing that can really escalate a
Yeah,
lot
because one of
more.
the good pints
And
is gonna have what 50 grams, right?
yeah, anywhere from 50 to like 65
Yeah,
if
like a
you're
day's worth.
So
yeah.
so because of that, you eat pretty lean though.
Yeah, so basically, that's how I knew I needed to structure my diet. Fats being the main thing I limited. So I stick to super lean options. So I'll do either like um, non-fat Greek yogurt or fat-free cottage cheese. Lately, I've been doing just mainly egg whites, like the egg beater cartons, and that's
Hmm.
super simple. And then I'll stick to chicken for most of my meals. Um, the days I would eat like a fattier um, cut of meat or something like that, I would opt to either having a low-calorie ice cream, which I don't do lately, or I would do gelato, which is basically less fat. So I would just choose the days that I'm going to do gelato. I could probably choose a little bit fattier meat if I wanted to, or I would save
Hmm.
that for the days I knew I was going to have fattier meat. But overall, just knowing that I needed to do some trade-offs. So basically, I was like, okay, I want to include ice cream. Um, Let me see what I can do. So I started by choosing leaner meats. So basically, the least amount of fat I can have in my diet, right? So egg whites is basically zero fat. Chicken is gonna have a little bit, which
Yeah,
doing for a
skinless,
good
boneless
amount.
chicken breast.
Yeah. Um, so that's basically how I went about fats and meat and protein, and then I knew my carbs were gonna have to give a little. So I'm out. I have always been big on veggies, so I have a good size portion of veggies, and then I needed carbs, or I knew I needed carbs that were gonna fill me up, because I was only gonna get so many calories from that, and the rest are gonna be from ice cream. So basically, I chose potatoes and sweet potatoes, which I love. I can eat every freaking day. Um, so that I basically just turned my diet into that: potatoes, egg whites, um, chicken, and then I would portion out my ice cream. So because I wanted to lean down, my calories were limited. So I would portion the amount I wanted. I would weigh it out because it's super easy to just kind of overdo it. So I would weigh it out, and I would just sit down and eat it and try to really enjoy the experience, because I think that's another part. Um, I wasn't just like eating it and then be like 3 seconds later like, damn, where did my ice cream go? I really wanted to enjoy it, so I would sit down and I would make sure I enjoyed it, and then.
Dim the lights.
Do you have an ice cream room? It's got like a little shrine.
I mean, I honestly would not.
He puts some
mind doing
dry
that,
ice on the
man.
ground, sets the mood a little bit.
There's just a record player in there with
I have a little bed for my pines.
with Usher tunes from the early
when like
90s,
R&B was
yeah.
R&B.
Yeah.
When it was raining in every music video.
I wouldn't mind that at all.
I almost said R. Kelly, but
Nah, we can't.
can't listen to that.
Yeah, you're not allowed to do that anymore. Not after that documentary. But yeah, you should get an ice cream room one day.
I should.
Or maybe just like a walk-in freezer.
Whenever I buy a house, man,
with
there's gonna be an ice cream room in there.
You say that, but
I mean,
hey, he builds like a little like crib that he puts his freezer. He puts his freezer in.
He tucks it in every night.
Yeah.
I mean, he would.
You gonna paint it pink or blue? The room, or is it neutral? Gender neutral?
Gender
It
neutral.
should be gender neutral.
Yeah, ice creams for everybody.
Yeah, you're right.
We're gonna get in trouble here.
Gray.
If we start.
No, we're not. We're gonna be fine. We could go a lot worse than that, I think.
So for the people listening, realize, a lot of times I think people hear this stuff like this, like, oh, you can have ice cream on your diet, and everyone likes that idea, but then they ultimately aren't willing to make the trade-offs, right? They're gonna go and be like, you know what, I'm at 7-Eleven for breakfast, I'll get the bratwurst, and in their head they're like, well,
Jesus.
Diego has ice cream every day, I'm gonna go ahead and have the ice cream too later that day, even though I had a bratwurst for breakfast, right? And at the end of the day, the calories, like, they add up and it goes over. Like the number one thing that you have to do is realize that the trade-offs have to be made and they have to be worth it for you, right? So like for in Diego's example, he doesn't mind eating the lean proteins, right? And he trusts the numbers. You think that's the hardest part for people, is to realize that I think everyone wants to think, like, they think ice cream bad, right?
Yeah.
So then they label it. So even though if we're like, hey, if you eat 600 calories of ice cream and that fits in your total budget, like, everything's going to happen just fine, as if that ice cream was a sweet potato, right? So, but people ultimately fear it. And then when they eat it, they still feel bad and have guilt, and they just can't trust the whole situation.
Yeah, I feel there's a lot of culture about like feeling guilty about having certain foods. We see it a lot with our clients, like having certain foods to like, oh, I did really bad this weekend because I have this and that and that. It's like, well, it's not that you can have it. If you said you did bad, which that what even that means, that might be like, yeah, that's super calorie dense, so you want a lot over calories, but not necessarily because it was a specific type of food. So I think there's definitely a lot of guilt culture around eating certain types of foods, and not trusting the numbers, like you said. Like for me, I know if I was hitting my numbers, then I could eat as much or as little ice cream as I wanted to. The main thing would come to be like, okay, how much am I willing to sacrifice, right? Because if I add more ice cream to my calories, then one, I know it could affect into my protein, which that's like kind of like a big thing for me to know. It helps me with recovery and training, so we can touch on that later. But it would cut out also into other foods, which would lead into me feeling hungrier. So I already know that by cutting calories, there's going to be a certain amount of hunger because I'm eating less food than I'm used to. Um, so if I'm choosing to do more ice cream, then like half a cup of ice cream is going to be the same if I eat like let's say 2 or 3 sweet potatoes, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna feel a lot fuller from the have a cup of from the sweet potatoes than to have a cup of ice cream.
Yeah.
So I knew that would I didn't want that. I want to make sure I felt full because then if not, I would be more prone to reach out and grab something.
Yeah.
So as long as I was hitting my numbers, I was good. But I also knew I had to have the base where hey, I don't want to feel as hungry, or if I feel hunger, it's not gonna be a hunger,
Super.
yeah, super strong hunger or
Yeah.
anything like that.
And then the way like Diego's worked it out is it's essentially like a little bit of daily discretionary calories. So
Mm-hmm.
earmarked for every day. I kind of like to more do, which is the way we kind of coach a lot of people, like a weekly allowance, right? So I'll eat a little less during the week, and I ultimately know because of that, I almost have like a 1,500 to 2,000 calorie buffer for the weekend, which for me, it's like if we eat out, it's only going to be once typically. So like I know I have 1,500, 2,000 extra calories to work with, right? In my week. Now I could then break that down into a little bit of something every day, or I like to have an entire pint of ice cream, so that's 1,200 calories right there. But yeah, it's still a buffer. There's still a limit, but you can almost work in anything, right? Like if I liked beer, 1,200 calories is going to be
Like six,
like
six ish,
six
Yeah.
6-ish
150 calorie beers. So someone who's like, I want to have a beer every day, you can make that work, right? But obviously, because I have that 1,200 calorie buffer, like that's 1,200 calories of food I'm not eating during the week. So I could be having
Yeah.
more portions of my meats or my sweet potatoes or rice. So like there is a trade-off being had, and truthfully, I'm kind of in a lower deficit during the week and get hungry in between meals. And then on the weekend, I get stuffed because I have a day,
Because you ball out.
couple thousand extra calories, but like that's fine. Like I'm willing to make that trade-off. It works for me, and for most people, we have found that weekly doesn't work as well because people go overboard on that day when they start to have other stuff. Whereas the daily discretionary works a lot better for people.
Because they feel like there's less restriction, right? Because
Exactly.
if
Every
it's in the
day they get to
week,
have something.
they're like, oh, I'm not gonna have a like, because you can put anything in there, and for some reason, a lot of our clients is chocolate, right? So I cannot have a piece of chocolate here and there. Until the weekend, but then the weekend comes and it's like you want everything chocolate. You want
Mm-hmm.
a piece of chocolate.
Hmm.
You want a chocolate donut. You want a chocolate shake, and then you just start piling things together. So if usually we've seen, yeah, if clients are eating it a little more often, they don't feel as restricted, so it's less likely
Yeah.
that they'll go and just ball out on the weekend.
So let's talk about the other piece is okay, now you kind of know your portions. You know how much discretionary calories you have. You decided you're going to have ice cream and you're going to eat it every day. And you say no to other stuff and you do only eat your lean proteins. The last piece of the puzzle that's the hardest is okay, well, guess what? You can't just then have your portion and then have a little more and be like, hee hee, it's only a bite or two because you do that every day.
It adds up.
That
It
adds up
adds
a
up,
lot,
right?
It adds
especially
So
with
up.
ice cream.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
what
it's
it
super easy. And so when I was really trying to get mostly towards the end, because as you get leaner, you have to make more and more sacrifices. So as I got leaner, I really had to watch how much I was eating exactly. So I would weigh it out. I had a small, really really small bowl that I would just scoop it into,
hmm
and that for me is like mentally right. So it made it seem like it was a bigger portion. So it
Yeah.
just kind of tricking my brain. Um, and then just that way, I would put the ice cream pint away and I would know, okay, this is my portion. And most days, I wanted a lot more ice cream. Like it
That's yeah,
wasn't, it
that's my
wasn't,
problem.
it
That's
wasn't.
that's the hard
Yeah.
part with something like that.
It definitely like I would say it's definitely not easy, but the more you start learning to say no
Yeah.
and be okay with it,
Yeah, it gets easier.
So
the easier it gets. And one of the things that really helped me is like I knew the ice cream was going to be there the next day, right? So it's like, well, I had this portion today, and I would tell myself this, like, damn, I want more. It's like, well, will it be there tomorrow? Can I just have tomorrow and still stay true to my goal? Well, yeah. Or do I rather sacrifice? Well, no. So I would ask myself these questions every time, and then I would come to a conclusion. Well, I'll be there tomorrow. I'll just grab it
Yeah.
tomorrow.
And then practicing that every day, it probably gets easier and easier.
Yeah, and I mean, some days like I've reached out and grab a couple of spoonfuls more. Um, but overall, I would say in the grand scheme of thing, I was super consistent. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't perfect. I had days where I just wanted a lot more ice cream and I gave in. Um, but I think really matters is in the long run if doing it day after day after day, 1 or 2 days is not going to have a huge impact.
Yeah. A good picture, it would be cool if you did, would be like, a picture of about whatever, half a pint of ice cream. So like 500-600 calories. And then next to it, a picture of 500-600 calories of like sweet potato. Just so people can see
Yeah, the
like,
difference.
hey, this is the volume sacrifice trade-off I'm willing to make.
That would be actually a
Yeah,
pretty
and people are gonna see, man, that's
a
like
good what a
7
difference
bites
made.
of ice cream, and they're gonna,
Dude, 600 calories of sweet potatoes is
So
I mean,
like that's a good amount of sweet
Yeah.
potatoes.
dude, that's got to be, well, that's about 3 cups.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's a big
Bro, how many
bowl.
people
Yeah.
can eat 3 cups of sweet
Sweet
potatoes and not
potatoes.
be full?
Yeah. Whereas you eat the ice cream, how many people can eat half a cup or whatever, half a
Half
pint of ice
pint.
cream and
And one more.
And then eat the
Yeah.
other half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's where a lot of people will learn what's worth it to them or why they do overeat, that hey, those foods drive overeating, and then you learn if it's a green light, yellow light, red light food for you, and strategies to make it work. That's why I prefer the pint, and on a day where I also maybe having a bigger dinner and other calories, because then by the time I eat it, I'm full. Like I'm full. I'm physically, like, my stomach feels like stretched and full, and then I'm not like, oh, I would like more.
And also to that point, you have to learn to know yourself, right? Because for example, in our particular cases, you like to have it on the weekend because you know if it's there, and you mentioned it before, if I have it there and I try to eat a little bit, then I just finish it a lot. You finish it
Yeah.
a lot faster than you
Yeah.
had
And it's
planned on. And then for me, I can do that a little more. But for example, for me, so I'll put an example. Devi, everybody knows Devi. She brought me cookies the other day, right? So oatmeal cookies, and I love them. And I was just kind of thinking to myself how for me it's a lot simpler because I have them kind of in my pantry. So I go open, grab a little piece, put it in my mouth whenever I want, like when I want a piece of cookie, and then I can walk away. And for most people, that's just like a lot of people are not going to be able to do that. Like I know Will mentioned Whitney is able to do that.
Bro, I'm going to walk away and I'm going to circle back and grab another piece. Like that's how I am. So I don't like keeping crap like that around.
And that's I think why getting to know yourself is important, because if that's going to be the case, then the other thing we usually preach, right? Well, keep them out of the house.
Yep.
If you know you're not going to have control, then keep it out of the house. Grab it on the weekend, and then just have it on the weekend. But if you know you're able to just kind of portion it and say no after you have your portion, then that's probably a good option for you too.
Yeah. What I know about myself is that I'm not a quitter.
Same.
So,
Are you calling me a quitter?
you
Is
know
that, is that what we're talking about right now?
Indirectly, yes. You know what I've noticed is I'm fine. Like, so how sometimes you'll give me those little like they're probably like half a cup, right? Like the little ice cream from Lolly's. Like,
The
Yeah.
small container.
Yeah, so it's like a little small container to try, and I'll take it home, and that's all I have in the house of that, and I'll eat it, like eat the cut, and I'm good. Like I finished it. I'm like, that was good, and I don't really think much more about it.
So for you,
But-
it's just finishing whatever you have.
right. So then if I have a pint, like that's what I eat, and even a few months ago, I'd gotten
Half gallon.
half gallon, right? Because I was at Lidl and I wanted some ice cream, and I'm like, man, this is less than the other stuff, and it's a half gallon, and I got it, and I was like, this will last like a month, like I'm gonna, dude, I ate it in 3 days,
You knew that was a lie.
and I was like, so if I was getting a half gallon of ice cream every week, I'd eat it every week, right? But
Yeah.
if I got half a cup, I'd eat that, right? So it's just, yeah,
And that's
I know
where
that.
pre-portioning your ice cream come into place, right?
Yeah, like your little
Like,
bowl.
If you have your half a
Yeah,
cup, and
so, but
that's-
here's the thing. It's like, if it's in the house, I can
You're
feel
gonna
it in
reach
my
for it.
bones.
Yeah,
Like
so you just need to buy
I would
a
portion
small
it,
container.
then go sit there and just think, man, there's more sitting there waiting. And I just have no self control.
Yeah,
Like
good.
I tell people all the time, they're like, "You must be real disciplined." I'm like, I have no.
None.
I guess I have some discipline to like not buy it and bring it in the house.
Well, I
But
think that's where it ends, though,
you know, that's
which
just
is fine.
yeah.
Do you use a smaller spoon when you eat your ice
No,
cream?
I used to actually. When I was dieting, I did. Right now, I don't.
Okay.
I just pictured him
Uh,
eating with like one of those little baby
That-
spoons.
Dude,
that's what I thought of.
literally what I.
It's got like
what
a
I
little
have.
decoration
Soft-
on the
yeah,
handle.
It has that little soft end.
Well, not the baby spoons, but you know, like the ones they give you to try. Like if you go to ice
Yeah.
cream shop and they have like those little
Dude,
wooden
that
spoons
should
and
be a
stuff like
diet
that.
where you can only
You just
eat-
have smaller utensils.
you can only use chopsticks.
That tiny kitchen.
Yeah.
Bro,
kinda-
don't get
kinda
me
thing.
started on tiny
Oh,
kitchens.
dude.
I have
Hey.
this weird fascinations when they make like the really tiny food. Could watch it all day.
Could you
We
imagine?
should just have those utensils, and people trying to eat a sweet potato with that.
Just
How
a
long
little,
would it take them?
a little knife.
Mm.
How long do you think it would take like a normal meal of like sweet potatoes and steak?
Too
Too-
long. At what point would they just drop
Pick
them
it
and
up,
pick it up
just-
with their
yeah.
hands, like a savage, like
Hey,
a
yeah.
human being should?
What if you had to use chopsticks for
Uh,
everything?
I get real good at chopsticks,
I
man.
know.
Be eating for like 6 hours. I only eat one meal a day, but it takes 6 hours.
Just sitting
Could you eat
there all
ice cream
day.
with chopsticks?
Nah, that's not a thing.
You
man.
find a
I'm
way.
just saying. What if you had to?
I mean, like it's gonna melt at one point and just licking out of the.
Well, there's going to be
chopstick.
one point where it's like it's grabbable and it's doable, and it's going to last for 30 seconds, and you better
Yeah.
really make it work.
I mean,
Mm.
I don't think that's a.
Tighten up.
Hey,
way
my
to make
dog
i-
eats ice
sweet
cream
man.
without a
Nothing.
spoon.
Yeah.
I could probably do that.
Mm.
I think that would probably be better than with.
I guarantee you,
chopsticks.
your YouTube channel, your Instagram channel would probably quadruple if
If
you're out there eating ice cream with
Yeah.
your hands tied behind your back. Don't people like that? Don't they watch people eat?
Yeah, that is a
Th-
weird
that
thing
is
on
a
YouTube.
thing. I don't know.
People
why.
just like chow down on
Well,
like
even
noodles
on
and
Instagram,
stuff.
like you just see their faces, and then just putting food down, and I'm like, what if people?
I got
feel
no
attracted to
interest.
this?
Mm,
I'm
I don't care about people enough to watch them eat.
no.
I'll watch you make food.
yeah.
I don't want to watch you eat it.
So we know we basically made it clear that pick the things you want, your discretionary foods, calories, things you enjoy. Allow yourself to have them and trust that hey, it's just calories. It literally is numbers. And again, like you don't have to count calories, but calories count.
And just to touch on another subject too, because a lot of people think, well, you're getting super lean, right? Training, like what is training looking like? And for a lot of people, usually when you eat those type of foods, um, the guilt culture, and they feel like they have to, run, and they have to like do a lot of cardio and this and that,
Burn
and
all the calories.
yeah, be in the gym for 2 or
God.
3 hours. And for me, I mean, the approach was the same. We're pretty big on just the right amount,
Mhm.
or less is better. So training 3 to 4 times a week, and then the other days I would just walk.
Mhm.
And which is basically what I do on a regular basis. So I really didn't touch any of the training. What I did do is, as I got leaner, I would increase my step count. So I would start with, I have a certain kind of set structure with my walking. I like the structure where I have a meal and then I go for a walk. I have kind of the ability with my schedule to do that. So I would have breakfast, go for a 10-minute walk, lunch, go for a 10-minute walk, and then dinner and go for a 10-minute walk. So as I got closer to the photo shoot and I got slightly leaner, I would just make my walks a little bit longer. So I
Yeah.
would go, instead of 10, I would go 15 minutes each, and then 20 minutes on each. And I think that's as much as I did, about an hour walking, a little over an hour a day.
Yeah.
Most days, even on off days, I would just keep the structure the same.
And what people don't realize is, so your NEAT, your non-exercise activity, it accounts for way more calorie burn than exercise.
Yeah.
Right, over the big picture.
Mhm.
And then the thing that can be affected when we diet and we're in a calorie deficit is our body will naturally want to move less. So then our NEAT goes down. We naturally chill out more. So if you kind of track your NEAT though and make sure, well, hey, I'm gonna make sure it stays the same. then you keep that same calorie burn while you're dieting, and it's not exercise, so it's not like you have to recover from it. It's not going to have like major hormonal effects. And that combo right there of being in a calorie deficit and making sure you move the same and that you don't naturally let your NEAT nosedive is super powerful.
Yeah, so I mean, a really good thing is either just tracking your NEAT.
Or
You
how many
can
hours?
have your step count, or like I did. I know I get super obsessive with step counts. Like if I'm shooting for a goal, like that's all I'm thinking about. And then trying to make it work. So I just plan on a certain set time that I do it, a certain amount of time, and that works. So yeah, just like track some way and aim for that as you're dieting, so you make sure that your activity is the same.
Yep. And then you should always be training. And this is too, I was thinking, a lot of times guys like us who naturally struggle to gain muscle and stuff, but then on the same time, we can have an easier time losing weight. I think a big factor of that is we're always so scared of losing muscle and wanting to gain muscle. We're always going to train
to
like we want to
maintain.
gain muscle.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in actuality, that's the best way to train
Oh yeah.
when you want to lose body fat. But what a lot of people do, they think, oh, I'm going to do a ton of cardio. I'm going to do super high reps. I'm going to shorten my
High
rest.
reps, low weight.
Yeah, shorten my rest periods.
I want to tone.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And they start training like that, which then just kills your gets your cortisol sky high, and it's just hard to recover from.
Yeah.
And really, if you want to train like that, you should be training like that when you're eating in a surplus and you're taking in tons of calories.
So I'll put an example. I've so 2 years in a row I've dieted, right? So usually towards the summer. What's 2020? So 2018 was the first year. I was about 160 and I dieted down a little over. And I added a lot more cardio type things. So some days I would go for a run. I would do some like HIIT training. So I would still train with weights 4 times a week, and then I would do HIIT training one day, and then I do a lot of dog walking. So I would run with the dogs every now and then, and my weight loss was actually a lot slower than last time, whereas my activity was a lot less. So my guess and my theory is the stress factors, right? So I'm stressing my body a lot more. There's a lot more cortisol. There's water retention. So there's a lot more things happening for my body to make it harder to lose weight. Where for this one, yeah, I'm hitting my numbers. I'm not stressing my body a ton. And I was dropping about a pound a week pretty consistently. Just making sure, yeah, I kept the structure the same week after week.
Yeah. And then when you're training, you're focusing on, you know, that 6 to 12 rep range, plenty of rest in between sets, trying to get stronger. Um, yeah. And like the key things that you should really always focus on.
Yeah, like that's kind of the foundation, right?
Yeah,
Like
I
two
mean,
things are always going to be.
I think that shouldn't change, and no matter what your goal is.
Yeah.
Like if your goal is weight loss, then still aim to get stronger because
Yeah.
you want to maintain muscle or at least maintain your strength.
Yeah, exactly.
And
But
then,
it might not happen as fast or at all, but you're going to maintain what you have.
yeah.
And then so you're maintain the same style of training, and like the amount of protein you eat should pretty much always stay the same too. Like
Yeah, I
those are
think
two
those two
really big
factors
constants that no matter what should always just be kind of the center of your training universe,
Yeah.
I guess.
And again, this is an extreme example, but look at bodybuilders. There are sports literally to like get as lean as possible.
With
Like,
as much muscle as
they
possible.
Get the leanest of any athlete on the planet, and look how they've changed for decades. They just strength train, walk, and let the
You've never seen a bodybuilder
And
doing
eat.
HIIT training.
no,
No, because they
Yeah.
don't.
yeah.
Like, I don't know why.
Because it's not
we
that good for
started-
getting
But
lean
then
in
you
the
have-
long
I don't
run.
know why we started even doing HIIT training.
I don't
now.
know.
Because it
I s-
was easy to get commercialized. There was like one study that said it was like super effective.
Efficient,
And
yeah. Like
then
you would burn
just-
more calories in a
Yeah.
shorter time, which is true, but it doesn't take into account the hormonal effects.
Well, it didn't find out that that was only like a really short term thing, like 4 to 6 weeks, and then
Yeah.
after that, it kind of nosedives, and you would have been better off just keeping your NEAT up and doing low intensity
and
stuff.
we've also learned through some research and then with some clients here that when you do high intensity training, then usually the rest of the day you're moving a lot less,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So then
your
their
calorie burn in the
It's
day it's
offset.
a lot less. So you would probably be better doing slightly less intensity, and then you end up moving a lot more, so you end up burning a lot more calories
Yeah.
through that day than just trying to really go hard in the gym and then just going and passing out on the couch for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're sitting there, you're like, I burned 800 calories in my workout. It's like, what'd you do the rest of the day? Laid on the couch.
Yeah.
So
Did
then,
nothing
well,
because I
you
was
would have
tired.
burned 800 calories moving around more, and not
And not feel like crap.
yeah.
Yeah, and not wrecked everything else too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
And then the other thing is when we do train like that, it drives our appetite up.
Yeah.
yeah. So
So
you're
then we're
eating more than
hungrier.
normal.
Or if you can ignore that, a lot of times people still will be like, oh, well, I deserve it because I worked so hard, and then they end up eating more.
Yeah, they'll see like, oh, I burned 800 calories. You know, I can have a
Yeah.
treat, which doesn't really work that way. But
And since you build up that fatigue,
If you know me, you know I'm always on the run, up early and home late, so having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's one scoop mixed in water once a day and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out.
it's also harder to make decisions. So if you do decide to give yourself a treat, then you're more likely to actually eat more of that treat. So you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna eat just this certain amount
Yeah.
of I don't know, a piece of chocolate. Then you're gonna end up eating a lot more, most likely, because that fatigue is there. So you're not really even gonna care.
Yeah.
Like I've noticed a lot. Going back to the ice cream, when I don't sleep well, or I'm tired that day, it's a lot harder to say no to the ice cream once I put it away. I usually want more, or tend to go to the freezer and open it again and start
dude, I'm the same
just
way.
grabbing some spoonfuls from
Like
the
if I don't
front.
sleep, I could honestly eat all day
Yeah,
and never really be, I'll say, satisfied. Like I'm always just like hungry the whole day.
and I think for me, like hit training and high intensity, when you really go hard, kind of does the same thing.
Yes.
Like you're so fatigued, you're looking for external energy.
Yeah.
So food is a easy,
Anything will do.
easy source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel. That's why I don't do any high intensity stuff anymore. I mean, I think all of us just walk.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the extent of our high intensity. But
Yeah, and then naturally I'm a, worrier and stressor and have
Same.
stuff going on in my head, so that affects things too, right? So then if I
Mhm.
add in, recovery I have to force, right? And so if I'm just training like that all the time, it's just adding to all,
it's adding to your bucket.
my natural state, So I need, for me, it's more impactful to have restorative training, right? So if I'm scheduling, I'm going to walk the trail. That's me scheduling in recovery and that rest and digest mode and getting my body in that mode. Like that's what I found is like, yeah, I'm moving and I'm treating it like a workout, like it's in my calendar, like I'm going to go do this. But I've learned like if that was a hit workout, well, I'm just going to go to the gym, stress myself out more, and add to my stress state that I
don't think that helps your day.
gravitate to.
It doesn't help my day to do stuff
Nah.
like that anymore. I feel like it kind of, I don't know, worsens things. And
Yeah.
like I think way better after a long walk than I do after,
And it's a lot
20
more,
minutes of
it's a lot
destroying
more
myself.
enjoyable, right?
Oh, I love it.
If I think like, oh, I'm gonna go for an hour walk, or I'm gonna go wreck myself for 20, 25 minutes, like just the thought about wrecking myself for 20, 25 minutes, like it's already gonna get me wired up, and
Yeah.
I'm already like stressing about it because I know I'm gonna be wrecked after. So I just rather be like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go for a
Yeah.
walk, and that's gonna be
Yeah.
a lot
And do
better.
some of my best thinking on a
Yeah.
walk too.
Yeah.
And then, like we said with the ice cream and trusting calories, you have to trust the overall process and know
Yes.
I can get lean and strong and muscular
And
and
feel
not have
good.
to and feel good. Like it's okay. Like I can go for this for a walk, and I'm not setting myself back.
Well, and we have this culture too of like go hard all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That people think that's the only way to really get there. Um,
Yep.
where it can be a lot. It's so much simpler
Hmm.
than that.
And it's funny. And then we're a bunch of guys who don't have the best genetics in the world.
Nah.
But I was telling you how I watched there was someone at One Life. This super huge like action hero looking guy. Who obviously works hard, but also is consistent, but has good genetics. I mean, just he looked like Batman or something. In Batman suit, and he trains the same. I was watching him train, and he would just do a set. He was doing like tricep skull crushers.
Yeah, do a
And
set
he
and
would
then
do a set
chill.
of like 10 and then just lay there for like 5 minutes with his hands like over his stomach, just laying there, breathing.
Yeah.
Then he would do another set. Then he would just lay there for 4 or 5 minutes. Do not, and it's in like this dude's strong, jacked, lean. And that's how like bodybuilders and most people like that have always trained. But then you get, Jane, who's 45 and she has 3 kids and she works full time. She's super stressed all the time. And then she thinks, and then she looks the same year after year, even though she goes to spin class for an hour and then body pump for an hour and then some other class for an hour. And it's like, I'm working out 3 hours a day. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And they're just always stressed. And then you tell them to do a hard set of 10 and then rest 3 minutes before another. And they can't.
Their
They
whole
panic,
world
man.
crumbles.
They
Yeah.
panic.
They panic.
They're like, I
they
gotta
get
go.
anxious.
And it's like, well, you're not pushing hard enough in that set of 10. Like,
Yep.
you got to trust this whole process.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like we've seen it. We've changed kind of the way we train at the gym a lot. I mean, if you think about from day one,
Hmm.
how we've changed across the years, like it's been. I mean,
Well, it
we've,
went
we've
from a progression of we need to do what people want
Yep.
into where, as we've gotten more confident in the business, we can, hey, let's give people what they need.
Yeah.
And
But then the thing
balance
is,
that.
like, we're all confident that it works. We do the exact same thing, and people trust us. And then it's just, kind of extending that,
Mhm.
and kind of living it.
Yeah.
Like they trust us. This is what to do, and then just putting everything we have behind it. And people have been loving it. But you get your average person in here and tell them this is what we're gonna do, or it's something new, and they're not gonna want to do it. If you tell someone, hey, you're gonna rest for 2 minutes in between every set you do, they look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah.
Because most people want that Orange Theory, go, 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 someone screaming at you stuff. Whereas, this is a lot more beneficial.
Yeah. I mean, we've always, for the most part, had a base of strength days on Monday,
Yeah.
Wednesday, Friday. The Thursday is like active recovery, low intensity day. So we really
Mhm.
only have 2 hit days.
Yep.
We're really one, which is Tuesday, and then Saturday you have the option of the one class, Saturday SmackDown or yoga. So yeah, I mean that's what we've always said is a base of strength, and then one hit session a week is normally fine for most people, especially if you're like maintaining.
Yeah.
But some people will find, especially if you're, and this really comes down to the type of person you are. Like if and unfortunately, I think like this is 70% of the people, but there's 30% that aren't. Some people are super chill, and those people do great doing a little more high intensity stuff. But if you're dieting, you have a stressful life, you're a stressor by nature, you're probably going to do better chilling out more and having workouts like walking that help you get into that relaxed state.
Yep. Yeah. The people who need the easy stuff are the people who don't want to do the low intensity. Or like
Yeah.
when we do breathing in the gym, and if anybody leaves or doesn't do it,
Those are the people.
it's
that need
usually the people that
most.
need it the most,
Yeah.
but don't want to
Yeah.
just buckle up and sit down and chill for a few minutes.
And I think going back a little bit to the first thing you said when we went on a tangent is people need to trust the process. And I think people freak out a lot when they change things of how they used to do it. But a lot of times they fail to question themselves, how has it been working for me? Because like you said, some people it could be 3 years and they've been doing 3 hours of exercise, and they still think that is the right approach
Yeah.
to do
And they
it.
just need to do more.
So, yeah, something has to be different, but it's like, well, how's that been working for you so far?
Yeah.
And being able to being okay at embracing change, and taking a different approach and just trusting it. But
Mhm.
people panic because it's different.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
something unknown for them. Um,
And a great
so I think
example,
that's something that's hard for them to do.
yeah, is we're working with an online client who's used to doing a ton and actually probably and gets away with it. But even then, we had her drop down and do less, and and less variety too, because then that's a whole nother podcast is variety and muscle confusion. But she noticed right away from doing less, she's able to have a higher intensity and focus more, get more out of her sets. And now doing the same exercises week to week, she's able to start to really compare and see what she was able to give and then be like, oh shoot, that exercise and workout rolls around again and it's almost like you got to I got to beat this set. You have to
Yeah.
like really put your mind into it and your focus into it. And then she sees where before how much was just um not lollygagging, but you just
Just
don't.
do it
Just
because you
going
have to
through the
do
Yeah,
it.
and you
motions.
you can't compare because you're always changing everything. You're doing so much stuff that it's just all watered down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that ultimately to create the change, you have to have that focus and intensity. And doing less helps that happen.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's something we've learned.
Yeah.
And we just teach less is
Yeah.
more.
A great
So
way thing is look at like professional sports teams, how they operate, right? Look at a football team, right? You have a coach for every position. You have a linebacker coach, a running back coach, a quarterback coach. That's so that that person can just focus on the key things that those players need to be doing, right?
Yeah, that
And
one single position basically.
yeah, they're not trying to do everything. You don't have one position, learning some of the other stuff or the playbook parts for the other positions. It's, focus and intensity on what you need to be doing.
And then trusting the process around you, right?
Yeah,
Like I know my corner's going to do what he's supposed to do while I do what I'm supposed to do,
yeah.
and like everything works out.
And that's where people need to be with their fitness, right? Like, okay, like you have to know who you are. If you're not a CrossFit athlete, if you're not like bodybuilder that's going to step on stage, like don't train like them, you know? Like if you just want to get lean in the context of a stressful life, like you're probably going to need different strategies. Probably focus on less stuff.
Yeah.
So, and so real quick for the people, uh, I think they'll find it a little interesting is we talked about ice cream, how to fit it in general, but maybe talk a little bit about the details of ice cream. So like the difference between gelato and regular ice cream, what to look for, um, those kind of things.
all right. So I'm no expert, but I'll touch on what I know. So basically, I'll touch on the first question. So ice cream and gelato. Part of it is going to be ice cream. It's higher fat content. So for it to be technically ice cream, I believe has to be at least 12% butterfat, and gelato is around 10% butterfat. Um, and gelato is going to have a lot more milk than ice cream. Ice cream has a lot more cream, but there's a balance between cream, milk, and sugar, and then gelato has a lot more milk. It's churned and served at higher temperatures. That's why it maintains a little more of that creaminess, even without being technically as creamy because it doesn't have as much cream. So that's basically between that. Now, in the realm of ice cream, you can have a bunch of different, like you can have like lighter type ice cream. So you can have your halo tops and all that stuff, which usually if you see when you open your halo tops and you bring it out of the freezer, it's gonna be like rock solid, right?
Yeah.
So
I hate it.
part of it is because they use sugar alcohols or sugar substitutes. So the sugar, what it does in real ice cream is it binds with the water. So once you freeze it, it keeps the freezing temperature lower. So when you freeze it, it's still creamy. Where with this one, it basically freezes the water, so it's super hard. So you're basically just touching the frozen water. Um, so that's kind of like why those are like that. And then you have different levels. So if you, everybody knows in the grocery store, like the Edie's and all those brands, the Braggers, those are gonna have a little more air on them. So when you churn them, um, you can adjust, but usually you whip more air into them, so the air volume is higher um, in your pint, and as you're scooping, then that's going to be a little like a lighter ice cream. Um, and then once you get to your brands, like you can even feel it when you grab your pint. You
Yeah.
know,
How
like
much heavier?
how much heavier it is, how much more ice cream there's in there.
Right. So essentially, the more premium stuff is going to weigh more because there's more premium ingredients that
Ye-
weigh more.
yeah, so
Yeah.
basically, you're putting a lot less air into it. Um, I'm thinking about the word right now that's not coming into my head. There's a specific word. It doesn't really matter. But basically, yeah, you're putting a lot less air into it.
Yeah.
So it's gonna weigh a lot more, and you're putting a lot more cream, which usually the cream is like the more expensive part
Yeah.
of the ice cream. Um,
Which is why Halo Top exploded onto the scene because
yeah,
they charged a premium price and you're essentially paying for more air because it's a lighter ice cream.
yeah,
So then their profits were probably a lot more. Um,
and yeah, I mean, and they did sell a lot. I mean, I think they sell a lot more than normal ice cream, just
well,
because people
people end
feel a
up
lot
thinking I
less
can have
guilty,
more.
right?
Yeah. So then
Um,
not only do you pay more per pint, you're like, oh, this is only 300 calories. I'm gonna have two or three more. You end up having the same, and you spend
but
triple the
yeah,
price. But
And you
yeah.
ate awful ice cream.
So what's your if you had to choose? I won't say favorite flavor, and maybe we'll all go. But what's your favorite flavor like profile?
I would say something cinnamon cream cheese based. Probably cinnamon the most. A cinnamon base is probably my favorite, and then as far as mix-ins, probably either like cream cheese swirl stuff like that, or graham cracker base. I mean graham cracker mix-in. I just love that. Um, yeah, that would pretty much like if I had to choose something to eat for the rest of my life, something along those lines. How about you?
Jesus.
I would I don't know. I go back and forth. Like I guess in general, I could always go with like a classic like cookie dough or cookies and cream. I have a problem with like a mental block with like any fruit flavors and stuff because I remember when I was a kid, I would always see we would go to get milkshakes at Dairy Queen, and they had the Heath bar. But when I first read it when I was little kid, I thought it said health bar, and I was like, dude, I don't want healthy.
They just put a Nature Valley
I
bar
don't
in
want a
there.
healthy ice cream. So and the same thing if something's like lemon something, it's like lemon. That's like that goes on with
So it's-
with your water.
Mm.
I don't want that. So I've always gravitated towards like stuff
Snackier
with
stuff.
cookies and stuff like that. Um, and then so I get on kicks where I really enjoy chocolate because it is so strong and powerful. But then at sometimes I'm like, I'm not digging chocolate because it is so strong and powerful. Somewhere like with anything, I'm Mr. Moderate, right? So I do like that kind of like cinnamon, you know, it's like enough flavor, but it's not overpowering.
yeah.
So like that cinnamon roll ice cream you made. Um, what was that breakfast one for at
Oof.
Lolly's?
The
The cinnamon
breakfast
toast,
goals,
the
the
cinnamon
cinnamon
toast
Yeah, it
toast
was
crunch one.
cinnamon
crunch.
toast crunch and cinnamon sugar pop tarts.
Yeah,
Like that was,
Good God.
yeah. If I had to pick one thing, it'd be that like cinnamon sugar, um,
like cinnamon brown sugar type
type
deal.
flavor
Yeah,
profile.
same.
Yeah. So I don't put a lot of thought into stuff like this, clearly. I just kind of eat what I'm given. So I'm kind of the outlier, I guess. But I will say the
Cinnamon
cinnamon
toast
toast
crunch.
crunch one probably was one of the best ice creams I've ever had in my entire life. But I'm the type of person where I'll have ice cream and I'm like, oh, that's good.
Hmm.
Like that's it. That's pretty much where it ends. Even though I try to give good feedback to Diego. So I don't put a lot of thought into this topic in particular, but also the lemon he gave me because I'm pretty much the biggest fan of lemon flavored anything in the whole world. Like I could have eaten that, like a whole gallon of that, easy, and I could probably eat that every day.
There's nothing.
So
Yeah.
for me, the lemon or that one, like I can't decide. I know they're very different, but it's probably a tie.
See, I've learned to like a lot of different things in ice cream. Um, that I don't like in general. Like
Yeah.
peanut butter, I can pass overall, but I've learned to really love it in ice cream for some reason. It's just a different concept. Um, fruit stuff. I mean, I like fruit, but initially as well. Like, it was like, oh, fruity stuff. But then once I have something like a good like fruit swirl and ice cream,
I like cherry,
that's
cherry stuff.
see, that's the one thing I'm nah.
I just
Most
like I
cherry.
would
It
eat it,
depends
but it has a
which
weird
one.
taste.
You ever had cherry Garcia?
I have not,
Yeah,
and it
it's just
doesn't
kinda
sound appealing
sad.
at all. Yeah,
It's pretty good.
I
I like
think
it.
no.
I mean, I'm not
Cherry
gonna
and
say it
chocolate?
would be
I don't
bad,
trust you anymore.
but I don't because like, we used to get always like some type of chocolate for Christmas, and Mike always got chocolate covered cherries, and I always wanted to like them, and I would always try it and be like, this is disgusting,
Mm.
and I think that turned me off from the cherry chocolate combo. So when I see an ice cream, I'm like,
What's
like,
I saw your
nah.
top 3 favorite flavors, and I've never gotten it, and I always want to just 'cause it's a fun name, but the Chubby Hubby or Hubby Chubby?
Chubby Hubby, yeah.
What was that
So
one?
that's vanilla malt base, which actually Ben and Jerry's vanilla base is horrible. So if you ever had just Ben and Jerry's vanilla base and you like it, don't talk to me. No, but it's definitely not good. But actually, with the malt they added in there, it makes it pretty good. I wouldn't say even decent. It makes it good. And then it has chocolate covered pretzels. Um, I think peanut butter covered pretzels and a peanut butter swirl, I believe.
So it's
Something
probably
along those
some
lines.
salty in there, like salty,
Yeah,
sweet.
salty sweet. So it's
If
actually real good. I wasn't expecting that, but it works really well.
so of all the brands that most people can get at any grocery store, what's someone's safest bet?
I'm probably Ben and Jerry's. I mean, just because usually one of the best things in ice cream. It depends. So it depends what you like. If you like just the base itself, and to taste kind of the the actual ice cream, Ben and Jerry's is not going to be the best because the bases are not great. But if you enjoy the mix-ins, which is I think most of the people.
That's kind of where they went, right? Whereas Haagen-Dazs is probably
Yes. So Haagen-Dazs would probably be a better example. Like, hey, if you like good bases, that would probably be best. But if you like if you like the mix-ins, and Ben and Jerry's, that's the one brand that consistently you get a bunch of mix-ins. There's never an issue with quality control or super low. Um, Now, if you have access to High Road Craft, um, they're mostly just in the east side of the country, so they their bases are actually really good. They're not super easy to find. They're kind of slowly growing, but I would say Ben and Jerry's and High Road would be my two choices. Ben and Jerry's for mix-ins and chunks, and then High Road for all the other stuff. Although they have some with the mix-ins, but they're hit or miss on that, so I wouldn't count.
What about the kind of step down brands? What's the best between like the Breyers and Blue Bunny and all those?
Mm, I'm not a fan of any of them, but I would say probably Blue Bunny. Um,
Have you ever had their Rocky Road?
I haven't had many of
Nah,
Blue Bunny flavors to be
Yeah.
honest.
I don't think I've ever had it.
It has little bunny chunks in it, so it's kind of cool.
You would
Is
like
that- is
you
that-
would like bunny
Is that
chunks,
just why you like
I
it?
mean, I'm
That's
like
the only
a
reason?
9-year-old. It would make me like it better.
like the dinosaur eggs in your
Yeah.
oatmeal, bro. Those are rad.
So last, just because it popped in my head, I don't know why. It has nothing to do with ice cream either.
That's fine.
What is
Just
your
heavy.
favorite Little Debbie treat?
Probably oatmeal cream pies.
Oof.
It has to. I just oatmeal everything. Give it to me.
So, side note: a lot of years ago, I ate a whole box of oatmeal cream pies.
Oh, I remember the story.
Threw up the next day, and I haven't had one since. Okay, so my favorite Little Debbie treat is clearly not oatmeal cream pies anymore. I think zebra cakes, man.
Mm.
I don't know
I can
why.
dig
What's
some
the
zebra cake.
what's the one that's like rolled up?
A Swiss cake roll. That was gonna be my second.
So I think so growing up we always had the oatmeal cream pies. I think it's because like my mom thought it's oatmeal,
It's healthy.
it's healthy.
Yeah.
So it's like a Heath bar. So that's what I had the most, and I like them. But
Bro, the Swiss cake rolls.
The
If you
Swiss
you
cake
put them in the
rolls,
freezer.
I'd
Oof.
always be a little like
You know what, man?
jazzed about.
Whitney asked me to go get like a treat one night. She's like, "I'll just pick up anything." All right, cool. Like I'll pick up something I want. You'll probably like anything. So I picked up a box of Swiss cake rolls and I came home. And I don't think she's ever been more disappointed in me in my entire
I
relationship.
can see her. I
Like,
can see
she
her
was-
being-
She was dumbfounded that that's what I would pick. And I didn't get it because I think they're great. I think they're good, but clearly not everyone feels that way.
Mm.
So now, like I if I ever go to grab them, now I hesitate. because she hated them that much.
Yeah. For me nowadays, I mean, almost 10 out of 10 times, I'm just getting ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Even like, dude, like people, like I'll have cake if I'm at a birthday party because it's like you're partaking, but like I never, like by myself would like
Buy a
want a
cake.
slice of cake, you know?
Me neither.
Um,
You know what I gravitate towards? Cereal.
every now and then,
I like
but
cereal more than anything, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
But even then, I felt like I'm forcing it.
Yeah.
Like it's not like something
Mm.
I'd rather have ice cream, right?
I would
Like,
rather have cereal than
I-
ice cream any
like,
day.
I would say ice cream, of course, would be my first choice, but then I'll be torn between pie and cookies, man. That's my second one.
What kind of
So
pie?
Almost any pie, but I would say apple,
Apple.
or pumpkin would be
two
like,
classics, yeah.
my top two.
Those are my top two
easy.
as well.
Yeah, I like cookies too. I feel like I can like match those up with ice cream though.
You can.
I need cookies or pie
Yeah.
match real well with ice cream.
Damn,
So
that's what it is.
And most
It's-
pies I could get down with,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not
It's
gonna make
easy.
one. And
Yeah,
like,
me
Nah.
neither.
and then you feel I'm not gonna buy a pie.
no,
Some people clearly do.
I'll have it in Thanksgiving, and that's pretty much about it.
It's funny, right? Because like both directions you go, you feel weird about it, right? Like you can't buy an entire pie. Like I want some pie, and you're
Then
gonna
you go buy the
an
whole
entire.
thing.
And then when you buy like a slice of pie,
Be like, oh, I'm so weak.
yeah, like this, I'm a wimp.
One slice.
You know,
What am I doing
it's just
with
an
my life?
awkward. It's just an awkward situation all around.
Where do they sell single slices of pie?
I mean, if you go to like
A restaurant, I guess.
yeah places like
Yeah.
that and whole bakeries, that's what you can get.
Oh,
Um,
I don't frequent bakeries very often.
so it's just the whole deal, you know.
Yeah.
So then I'll end up
Just ice cream's the easiest.
with ice cream.
You'll feel the least bad about it too.
I mean, it's just, in my opinion, it's the best one. Like, it's just.
Well,
there's
that's the
something
thing.
about
I like,
the creaminess and the
yeah.
being cold and the flavor is just.
And honestly,
It
I'd
just hit
rather
the
have
spot, man.
beef and sweet potato than most of the other things we've talked
Yeah.
about. You
Same.
know? Like it satisfies me enough to where, again, and this is the cool thing about really noticing these things. Like, what is the high priority? Like, what thing really do you really, really want? You know, and it's for most people, it's only going to be a small handful of things.
Yep. The other stuff just sounds cool.
Yeah.
You know, like
just,
it sounds
Yeah.
appealing and entertaining
And a lot of
fun.
times it's more appealing just because it's there than actually that you want it.
Yeah, and the
Like-
novelty of it.
Like,
of
think
a
of
lot
all
of
the
things.
stuff that's at like when you go to like a social gathering and there's that table.
Just full of stuff.
I mean, and think of how much of it
how much do you really want?
It's just mediocre.
Like,
It-
have you ever woken up and be like,
Yeah.
dude, a slice of apple pie that's what I want. Like, my life would be better.
Yeah. Or rye crackers or something like that. You know, they always have like weird crackers.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I never would have woken up today and been like, I need these crackers.
No.
You know, or
No.
Not at all.
Or this cheese ball. You
Oh,
know,
that's
like-
always weird. Yeah.
And cheese. I mean,
I can dig a cheese ball, but
yeah.
it's like.
But
I
you
don't
start-
really like.
you start
No.
weighing it against other stuff. Like, would you rather have cheese ball or cookie dough ice cream?
Yeah.
Like,
You know.
I
that's
mean,
an easy
there's no
decision.
contest.
Yeah.
No.
What if that's how you weighed all your decisions of like you did a March Madness and you're like, you know, if I could only have one thing, if I had to do like a tournament,
Your snack bracket.
yeah, a snack bracket, like who wins out, and like that's just what then you know what you want, you know,
Put a lot of thought into it. We should do
because
that.
otherwise you're just
Just-
eating everything else because it's there.
Yeah.
We should do a snack bracket.
You know what
Yeah.
I was just talking?
That would be fun, dude.
Yeah.
We should do that.
Yeah.
Isn't March Madness will be in
It's-
March?
It's March.
Yeah, I mean,
Is March Madness basketball?
we should do it. I think we should.
I think we should. That'd be fun.
But just thinking on I spaced out on more where I was gonna go.
It's all good.
Yeah, man.
Let it happen.
I'm spacing out real hard.
You need some creatine.
Yeah.
It's supposed to help.
My brain's not
help with your brain.
My brain's not working.
We're
I-
talking
I
about a
lost
snack bracket, bro.
I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. We always do that.
Ever.
Yeah.
I would come out of left field though with like some salt and vinegar chips though.
I mean, dude, no, cheddar and sour cream chips. I would do a lot for those.
I'm okay with I live without chips.
Yeah.
Most chips I don't really care about, but those. And the funny thing is, like, I don't really like cheese on stuff, and I hate sour cream, and I don't understand why I like the chips, but I do. So
You know what I was gonna say? Going back on the subject of like if it's not there, you don't like it. If I was president, I would just not let people take food to the workplace, and just
Mhm.
bring your own lunch.
yeah,
Dude, I feel like that would like if you want to cure
how much
obes-
shit would that
obesity,
solve?
I know. Like
Stop,
they'll be
stop
big,
bringing in baked goods.
But it's just that'd be like the equivalent of saying we can't travel because of the coronavirus.
That's true.
Because the coronavirus is killing thousands of people. Yeah, well, obesity and diabetes is killing hundreds of thousands of people. President Diego is making an
Executive order.
order.
Hey, you know what? Real quick, I was thinking about that comparison because I've seen that meme a lot. One of them is like an easy to identify, like boogeyman, right? It's external, it's a virus. The other one, like it's on the person. Like you got to deal with that crap
Yeah.
yourself, and that's why people are like, "No, it's not the same." Well,
It is the same.
like you could do
Yeah.
it, but yeah, but dude, that's a huge thing for people.
Yeah.
How many people are like, "Oh, someone brought this into the office." Thank God we don't have to worry about that here. Like no one really brings too much in here, except for Diego. I guess I do too, but really, like no one brings in a box of donuts in here, and it's like, "Oh, hey, have at it," and we got to walk past it every time we go coach somebody. Dude, that would be like that wears on you.
Yeah.
I don't know how people do it.
I'm over donuts though.
I-
Dude, last time I had them, I had like 9. And I
Was
felt-
it at the cookout?
No, it was at probably one of Crystal and Justin's parties.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
And I had.
I remember that we
I
bought.
just felt real.
Hey, is that
nauseous.
when we had the burger
Yeah.
on
It was
the?
probably because I also ate like a bunch of other stuff, but I just felt sick to my stomach. You know, like where
we balled pretty hard that day. I think all of us did.
and
yeah.
they were the type of donuts that are like, you know,
They were huge.
they're extravagant.
Yeah, those are the ones that Becca always gets.
Yeah, the Emily.
Yeah, they're like 3 donuts in one.
And now I have like donut PTSD. I think.
Nah, that's another thing. Like I could eat a donut.
I've never cared for like donut, cake, those type of things. Like if they're not an ice cream, I just pass. If they're an ice cream, like of course I'll eat them.
Cereal
but
and
if not-
donuts are my probably 2 favorites.
Before, like
just
I
like
would
a
even know
child.
enough to know any about this, and it's just all instinct. So when I was younger, I was more like meats over sweets. Like if say it's Thanksgiving and you know you're gorging, I would always
you're
go
going
for
for
like
the
let
meat.
me get more meat
Same.
and savory stuff than like the tray of treats and.
See,
But
I'm-
then I would go for the treats after I ate all my meat.
Dude, that's me. Like I'm the guy where it's like, oh, I want all the meat, but then I also want all the sweets.
Yeah.
Like I'll just eat a bunch of the normal food, and then I'll go to the dessert table and eat like 4 or 5 plates of that. Like
Yep.
that would be me.
All right,
What's wrong with those?
everyone's thinking. Everyone's now like running through their head all their gluttonous
Yeah,
scenarios.
yeah. We've been there too.
Yeah, everyone's there. Everyone goes there.
All right, well, keep an eye out for a snack bracket.
Yeah.
Coming
And
soon.
you know what? We're gonna let us know some ideas of who to include.
Yeah, what
What-
team
what-
are we going to put on the snack bracket?
What snacks, right? Like, do we go chips as a whole, or do we go specific?
I think it's got to be type of snack.
Yeah.
Because if we
So
get
chips,
specific, yeah,
ice cream.
Well, you can do like specific for each one, right? So you do ice cream, but you select a specific flavor.
You know what I realized? We're gonna have to include it because Lindsay Manslack's gonna be real mad that we just dog cheese
cheese balls.
cheese balls.
Yeah,
So we might have cheese balls
Yeah,
in the
we-
snack
we
bracket.
should.
So
yeah, that's okay though. Like
They're
it could
gonna
be
lose
like
in the first round. I'm
cheese
confident with
cheese
that.
balls / cheese puffs. You know what I mean? Like that
No,
can be.
cheese puffs is under chips, man.
Is it though? It's just a long cheese puff or cheese ball.
Are they in the same aisle in the grocery store?
I don't know. Maybe. Usually, don't cheese balls come in like a giant
Nah,
tub?
No,
cheese balls are
I'm talking
like
about
the creamy
you know like cheese
like,
balls.
Come on, kind of like a dip
Oh,
thing.
you can tell I'm not a cheese fan.
Come on, man.
Oh, is that a snack though?
Yeah. Do you eat it as a meal?
I don't eat it at all, so I don't even know.
Like who just sits down to a ball of cheese ball?
Well,
You
Hey,
might be surprised.
I mean, we got a 40% obesity rate in this country. I
Hey,
think a lot of
want you
people
to
are sitting down.
I want you to go poll 100,000 people, and I bet not one person would be like, "I had a cheese ball for dinner last night."
I bet you there will be one of
I
them.
think you're a liar.
But
I
no,
think you'd be
there'll be one of
surprised
them
how
in
many
there.
more
They
people.
might have started snacking on the cheese ball, but no one was like, "What's for dinner, honey?"
No.
Oh, I have this onion and chive cheese ball.
If anyone
Hey,
has ever had
I
a
think
cheese
you're-
ball
every,
for
hey,
dinner,
everyone in
please
the
let
fam-
us know.
Everyone in the family has a cheese ball on their plate, and they're eating it with a fork and knife.
Oh no.
That would be the saddest meal ever.
Hey, listen. If
uh,
anybody that's listening to this has ever had a cheese ball for dinner, please just holler.
And
Because I
not,
would
not
love
where
to
the
know.
cheese ball turned into your dinner because you were cheese balling and whining.
You know what? I'm
You were
I'm
like-
gonna have to do one.
You
that
meal
one day,
planned
just
instead
for you,
cheese
man.
ball is for
A
dinner.
cheese ball,
Just
though?
for you, man. I'm gonna
Bro.
do it.
I feel like my night and next day would be awful. Like that wouldn't be good,
Like what
man.
holds them together, man?
Yeah. Like what's going on there? That's stuff I don't get. Dips, cheese balls. If I
You
can
know
never have
what's
a
funny?
dip rest of my life,
I
I'd be
like
fine.
most cheese balls. Like I love cheese, but I always go into eating a cheese ball very cautiously
Like just a little bit,
because
just like
they're all
just
like
the
they're
edge.
always different colors and like they always
Yeah.
have something different on the
You don't know what you're gonna
outside.
get.
The outside
And-
layer is
And
always
I'm like,
confusing.
what's
It's like,
going on here? Like, what am I
What
to
am I gonna
expect?
get?
So yeah, I always just feel like probably how like if you were like in the wild and you're eating like herbs and stuff, and
Mhm.
you gotta like be careful it's not gonna kill
You
you.
just take a little bit.
That's how I am with cheese balls.
You never know if
Like
you're
you
gonna
take that little
die.
nibble, you just put a little teeny bit on a cracker,
Around in the corner of the cracker.
and then you're like, I can do this. And then you do that cheese ball, you go in on it, but then there's another one. You're like, nah, just take a little slither. Oh man.
I've never had one, so I don't know.
Sometimes I want like, there's no way everyone, like, there's something wrong with my brain.
You're just real methodical, man.
I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I need a
A
therapist.
lot of people just go for it. They just dig. They're like, oh, a cheese
Oh, yeah.
ball.
I mean, they're all
Hey,
about it, man.
you have like your uncle who takes like, that little special knife for the cheese ball, and like
The little like flat edge knife.
So did you see that there was like a thing going on the internet or Twitter where someone asked for a bagel and they're at McDonald's, and they're like extra cream with extra cream cheese, but then the person I think that worked there was being passive aggressive, and it was like
I saw
so
that.
much cream cheese, and they just kept it, and like it became this thing. They didn't even eat it. And you got like that uncle that just takes half the cheese
On
ball
one cracker.
on one cracker, and you're just like,
There's always that person.
nah, man, what are you doing?
Just to avoid like not putting just a hunk
Mhm.
of cheese on his plate, he's got to have that one cracker to balance it out.
But at the same time, I have no problem eating a block of cheese, like regular sharp
Oh, I
cheddar.
do that any day.
I don't know what's
But
wrong
a
with.
cheese
Is there something
ball-
wrong with me that
There might be, yeah.
sounds like the worst thing?
Is a cheese ball like blended up? Why is it so soft?
I think it's got like
cream
sour
cheese.
cream or
It
cream
it has
cheese
to
or
have
something.
Cream cheese in it.
Yeah,
this
like-
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how. It's
I've
made. We
never
should find
made
out.
a cheese ball.
Maybe someone
but
should make one.
My mind's
That's
blown,
my
man.
my idea. Is
What
always
if you
it has
made
cream
something that
cheese.
looked
If
like
it doesn't have cream cheese,
It looked
You
like
know
a
what I'm
cheese
gonna
ball,
do?
but it
I'm
was
out of
ice cream.
ideas.
You know what I'm gonna do for 2 hours tonight? I'll be vaguely watching TV and mostly Googling and learning everything about
Oh,
cheese.
About a
balls?
cheese ball and the best type of cheese to use for it. You think everyone thinks he's playing, but he's not.
Nah.
You guys should have been here when he was on his T-shirt kick a couple
about the
couple weeks ago.
I
About
wanted to know why some T-shirts are $50,
the different types of cotton.
and now I know all about Supima cotton.
Oh man, you guys.
Now I'm gonna learn
you
why.
have no idea.
Now soon, I'm excited to know that I'm gonna know why there's pink cheese balls.
I mean, yeah.
Pink cheese balls? That's a new one.
You've seen them, right?
No.
They're like they're like weird fuchsia.
I think I
colored cheese
block
balls.
all that kind of stuff out when I like spinach and artichoke dip makes me want to throw up. Cheese balls
If
do.
it's pink, like, why is it pink?
Well,
That's what
we
I'm
gotta
trying to find out.
If anybody has
If
any
you
more
know, like,
information
I
I've
like
seen
to know
pink cheese
that.
balls.
on cheese balls, holler. Slide into
No.
someone's DMs and let us know anything that we're missing.
All right, that's enough for today.
That is good lord.
So hopefully you learned a thing or two. I feel like that was like way a long time ago when we were talking about ice cream.
I
And
mean, yeah.
and
We just
abs.
went off on a tangent.
But you know what? Cheese is strongly related to ice cream. So.
It is.
I mean, in the end of the day, it's whatever you choose to eat. Ice
Yeah.
cream, cookies.
If you want to
cheese
fit a cheese ball into the end of your day,
Then-
that's cool, man.
Then just know you need to make some trade-off
Yeah.
to make it
Mm.
happen.
Exactly.
You can do them, you can include them in your everyday, but there's definitely going to be some sacrifices you're going to have to make in order to get there.
Make a small
Aw.
cheese ball.
So, yeah, depending what it is, ideally track your food intake. That's going to give you a good idea, and then after that, if you keep the same structure, don't worry about tracking, but that'll give you a good idea and kind of guidance on what you're doing and what's working for you.
All right. I
Coolio.
think that closes it out. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
As always, thanks for listening, guys. If you want to learn more, check us out at coastalfitnessva.com or garydeagle.com. We'll see you next time.